Welcome to another episode of the Whole Assistant Podcast. We have a very special treat for you today. Joining us is Abigail Barnes, and Abigail and I have a really fascinating connection, which we're going to dive into here in a minute. But before we do, Abigail, will you please introduce yourself, tell everyone about you, tell everyone what it is that you do. I'm just so excited you're here. This is going to be so much fun.
Annie, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I am the founder of Success by Design Training. I'm on a mission to share the 8-8-8 formula with 1 million people by 2025. We will talk more about what that formula is as this episode unfolds. I'm also the host of the Time Management Podcast. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur and author of a number of books all around time management.
Yeah, so basically, Abigail is our time management guru. So I really want all you executive assistants to listen up because she does have a lot of stellar advice specifically geared towards us as well. And I didn't mean to cut you off. What else did you have to say, Abigail?
I was just going to say, and similarly to you, I have a passion for well-being and wellness and making time for our health and well-being. And it is going to become apparent as this episode unfolds exactly why I have this passion.
Yeah, so let's start there actually, because I do feel like it's going to be really fascinating for my audience to hear. So you and I connected over something similar. And I'm going to have you share your side of the story around what we connected over, because I think everyone is going to be kind of shocked at how similar our stories are. So, will you please tell everyone how we connected and why we connected?
I don't think I've ever shared this story with anybody other than you, Annie, but I was, as we all do, on a Googling treasure trove, looking for things, finding things, educating myself. And I came across this woman called Annie Kroner who was telling her story. And her story was, I had a stroke in 2012. And I was like, I had a stroke in 2012. And I was working in a high-paced job at the time. And I was working in a high-paced job at the time. And I sat there watching this video and I thought, this woman's stolen my story. This cannot be happening. This is so strange that we both have the same thing that happened to us at the same time. And we look similar. For those of you who are listening to this on audio, you're going to have to check out the video version of this to see that Annie and I look quite similar.
Yeah, we both have long blonde hair. We both are, we are very similar. I think I'm the US version of you, Abigail.
And now we're both on similar missions with our different backgrounds on our different continents, but coming together for this podcast episode to ignite a fire under the listeners.
Yes. And so let's talk more about self-care and about your journey and about your stroke. I would love it if you could share with my audience your story a little bit. If you want to listen to my story, you can go back and listen to it, or you can check out Abigail's podcast, because I'm going to be on her podcast where I share my story. But I would love for you to share kind of your story with my audience and how it parlays very well into time management.
So I'll take you back to the early days of my corporate career. So I worked in marketing. I worked in investment management, asset management, and hedge funds for over 10 years in the marketing departments. I always wanted to run my own business, but I just didn't know how. I didn't know anybody else who did. The role models at the time were Richard Branson and a few others. And to be quite honest, I didn't look like him. I didn't sound like him. I didn't resonate in the same way. So I just carried on in my career. But maybe your audience can resonate with this. You know, there's something in you that you want to do something different, but you don't know how to do it. And the voice that goes round and round in your head might be something like, this job is killing me. I wish things could be different. I don't know how things could be different. I really don't know what the point of all of this is. So in life, be careful what you wish for, is all I will say, because it might not arrive in the packaging that you wanted it to.
No kidding. Yes, continue. Sorry. Yes, 100%.
So February 2012, my boss sends me to Boston, Massachusetts on a work business trip. And I felt like maybe this was the answer because I had tried parties, Prada, Prosecco, promotions, pay rises, all the P's to see if they were the things that would make me feel better because I just had a hole in my soul and I didn't know what to do. Fast forward 24 hours after I arrive, I'm in hospital, being woken up by a doctor and being told that at the age of 32, I'd had a stroke. The first thing I said to this doctor, Annie, can I go to work on Monday?
Jeez.
Because when you're in that hamster wheel, you don't know anything else. And this is what I would love the audience to take away. Wherever you are in your life right now, whatever is going on, just understand that becoming the person you came here to be in this human earth school, if you like, becoming them is a journey. And the journey begins at rock bottom. So this rock bottom was physical, mental. What the heck am I going to do next? Rock bottom. I've nearly died, but I have to go to work tomorrow. People are going to be really cross with me because I can't work and illness is weakness, or it was back then. And that's the situation that I found myself in February 2012.
Wow. So as you can see, there's a lot of alignment between Abigail and me. So can you please share like your story of how you got to where you are today, running your own business, like empowering people to manage their time and energy effectively? Can you just share that bit too?
Unlike you, and obviously you've alluded to this already, you've shared your story on my podcast, the Time Management Podcast. So we won't go into that right now. You'll have to listen to that episode to hear Annie tell her story if you don't know it already. My story, my near-death experience in those moments, the feeling that I had was one of regret. The feeling that I had was, I'm not ready to go yet. I haven't done what I came here to do. I want another chance. Please give me another chance. I begged God, the angels, the universe, whatever you believe in, please give me another chance. Please send me back. I'll do this better. I'll learn the things I need to learn. I'll do whatever it is I need to do. I'll just please. And again, remember I said, be careful what you wish for. Because you asked me, so what was the journey from 2012 to the day we're recording this now?
Yeah.
2024. The journey is the journey that all of us go on. It's not a Disney from A to B and that's the end of it. It was a messy, squiggly, I sometimes affectionately call it crawling across glass. Now, the journey doesn't have to be that difficult or that painful. You can ask for things to be easier. You can ask for some ease and grace. But we all incarnate into this life with karma. We all come here for different reasons. So we all have different challenges to unlock. And I truly, truly believe that whatever you are personally going through right now, you are here to grow through, to teach others, and that your journey is going to become the lessons. As one of my mentors says, your mess becomes your message. I'm not quite sure about that, but the journey that I went on was one of, I can't go back to this corporate job because I just don't fit into that anymore. It's not who I am. I don't feel like that's what I'm meant to do. But Annie, it wasn't clear what I was meant to do next to me. I didn't have this perfect 5-year plan with the business and the projections and everything mapped out. I have just followed what I affectionately call the grubby breadcrumbs on the road to the Wizard of Oz. It's not sparkling diamonds. It's just an intuition. I'll try this, I'll try this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll speak to them, I'll speak to them, I'll give this a go, I'll give that a go. And so for reference, what this looked like was working with this teacher, working with this mentor, traveling to this country, writing a book about this, doing a talk about that. And all of this was before I felt ready. The first time I was given the opportunity to speak, I was given 60 minutes to talk about my brand new book, Time Management for Entrepreneurs. Welcome, Abigail, to the stage. Woo! Abigail comes to the stage, shaking like a leaf, is off the stage in 15 minutes. Event organizer comes up. Thanks very much, Abigail, for that introduction to time management. Buy her book if you want to know more. I sat down, red-faced, with waves of embarrassment and shame washing over me, but with equal fire igniting in my belly of this is what I want to do. This is what I'm here to do. Give me another chance. Mm-hmm. Now, let's just say that event organizer didn't invite me back to speak to their audience again until I had gone through the journey a little bit more. But this is one of the things in life. The question to ask yourself is, can I do it badly until I do it well? And can I also do it without using words like good or bad? And understanding that we're evolving. And even if you are not perfect in whatever it is you're doing, you are still going to impact the life of somebody in that audience, because every single person is there to get a different lesson from you. And somebody might not learn from you when you're too perfect. Mm-hmm. They might learn from you more when they see that you tried and you quote unquote failed, because mm-hmm. that then activates something in their brain of, oh, I can do it too. And it's funny how sometimes we are more inspired by the stories and the examples of people who don't do it so well, mm-hmm. and then recover and go on to do it better, versus the people who are perfect right out of the gate. And then that starts up the mental chatter of, oh, well, it's because they're perfect.
Yeah, I love that. And I will say too that like in my first speaking engagement, same thing. And my bar for success was like very low. I'm like, the only thing I don't want to do is faint on stage. Like just stand up there, say what you want to say what you're going to say. And I think what I love about it too is that you're really making failure your superpower, because you're also building up that resilience, and you're also building up the mental fortitude and the mental strength to pick yourself up and keep on going, which if you've listened to my podcast for any amount of time, you know what a big fan I am of failure and putting yourself in situations where you will likely miss the mark in some way as a lesson. And it really is the best and fastest way to grow.
And if somebody said to me, Abigail, what's your superpower? I would say that my superpower is that I quite simply do not give up. Mm-hmm. Even if it looks like I have given up, I should have given up, people want me to give up, they're trying to drag me off the stage, I will not quit. And I feel like you will resonate with this. With the stroke, with the second chance, almost the core of me now is I'm not allowed to pull the plug until they do. And that might sound a bit scary in many ways, a bit like I have given my authority over to somebody else. But in those moments of the death experience, I realized, and whatever you believe in, but I realized that there is a power greater than us, guiding us, supporting us, and here walking it out with us. And it is not for me, and this is my personal view, it is not for me to say, no, this is as far as I can go. It's for me to pick myself up, and it might take a day, a week to recover from some of the things, but to pick myself up and to keep going. because it's not in my, it's not over until it's over.
Yes, I love that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, and we're going to launch into a conversation about productivity. And you have this 888 like structure, or not even sure, theory, I don't know. Would you please share about 888 and what that means? Because all you assistants, I want you to listen up. I really do. It's brilliant. Will you please share?
I'm so excited you asked this question and I get to share the 888 formula with your audience.
Formula.
Okay,
That's the word I was looking for. Yes, please.
the 888 formula. It is the simplest way to divide your 24-hour day based on science and society. So science says that the average person needs to be sleeping between 7 to 9 hours. And that 7.5 is what the average person can live on. Society says that we need to be working 8 hours a day. So for the mathematicians in the house, 24 minus 8 means there's 1 8 left. This final 8 is the middle jam in the sandwich. If you imagine that one side, the resting is on one side, the working is on the other, the final 8 is the jam in the sandwich. This is your activities. This is everything, Annie, that isn't resting or working. This is buying the food, cooking the food, eating the food, clearing up. This is buying the clothes, wearing the clothes, washing the clothes, doing it again. This is your hobbies. This is your relationships. This is your personal development. This is your personal life admin. This is your raising your family, if you have a family. This is starting a relationship, ending a relationship, investing in a relationship. And finally, it's also your commute. If you are commuting for your job any days of the week, that's where this time comes out of. And this, in my opinion, is where people are starting to recognize and get almost angry around other people demanding it for this or for that or for the other. And we can get into around being more productive for work, but that's the 888 formula in a nutshell.
I love it. So how can you actually maximize those 8 hours that aren't spent working or sleeping then? Like, what does that look like for you? And how do you guide people on how to maximize that time?
So my clients can come to me with challenges in one of the 3 areas or challenges in all of the areas in varying ways. And we start off by addressing whichever one is causing them the most pain. So if they're tired and if they're emotionally empty energy-wise, then we will look at how they can fill that up and what they can do from their resting, sleeping point of view. But from a work point of view, it is looking at where all your time is going all day long. So we generally combine the 888 formula then with my book, Time Management for Entrepreneurs and Professionals. This book is an 88-page read. The fastest somebody's read it in is 4 hours. It is deliberately short for a reason. It is deliberately small for a reason. It's deliberately chatty for a reason. And it's a 5-step process that walks the reader through how to identify where their time is going and to make a plan. Now, how this links to how to be more effective in your working day is you cannot be more effective in your working day if you don't know where your time is going all day long. So you track your time for 7 days, you identify where it's going, what activities have it, what people have it, what commitments you might have committed to a long time ago for varying reasons have this time. And from here, your data can drive your decisions going forward.
I love this because I love it because you can actually be more intentional with how you show up for yourself in all 3 eights, right? Like if you recognize through the process of tracking your time that you're not getting enough sleep, or you recognize through tracking your time that you're working more than you want to be working, or you're even utilizing your time ineffectively at the office, or there's a better use of your time, then you can actually intentionally decide on purpose what shifts you need to make in order to improve. That's what I'm hearing you say, which I love. You know, I'm all about intention. So,
And if you've ever worked with a coach before, then I know, Annie, you've discussed that you work with your clients from a values proposition
mhm,
point of view. So what are they valuing?
mhm,
I would talk to them around the wheel of life. I'm sure that you visit that as well, which obviously helps to identify where they're investing their time. Now, the wheel of life is crossing over with that 888 because the 888's picked out the three key pillars and squashed some things together. The wheel of life looks at 10 key areas.
mhm.
Um, and what I've identified over the last 10 years of running my business and my own personal development is that these three pillars are the quick win dominoes that if you push them, then everything else falls.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. It is so true. It really is. Okay. So, in your assessment, what are some common productivity or like even around the 888, what are some common pitfalls that people have or common hangups that people have around the 888 formula when you're working with people or just that you've noticed?
Let's talk about efficiency and effectiveness.
Hmm.
So, efficiency is doing the right thing, effectiveness is doing something really, really well.
Hmm.
We all love to spend our time focusing on the things that we're good at, but the things that we're good at might not necessarily be moving the needle. So when you're auditing your time or tracking your time for 7 days, you start to notice what you're being really, really efficient at and what you are avoiding, the effectiveness that could move the needle. So, what tasks and activities are really, really important? And almost in many ways, speaking to your assistant audience here, I truly believe that assistants need assistance because
Yeah.
there's certain areas in essence that you're really good at. And then there are other activities that could then be given to other people. And I've heard of departments that have chief of staffs who manage chief of staffs who then have their own assistants, EAs, PAs, and all the support structures within the structures. And I mentioned it to one person who thought this was kind of ridiculous. But then I mentioned it to another person who said, wow, that is productivity at its finest.
Hmm. Yeah. Yes, I love that. Okay. So I think the biggest challenge for assistants when it comes to time management, it's kind of twofold. It's like, first of all, staying focused in a distracting environment where you have people coming up to your desk or you're constantly being pinged. And then there's, of course, the things that we do to ourselves, like open tabs and social media and all of that sort of thing. And then another one is working off of someone else's priorities. Um, can you speak to that? Like, what would you tell an assistant who is struggling with the focus piece and they're also trying to work off of this other person's priorities, like in terms of how they manage their time and energy, what strategies would you recommend or suggest?
I love this. So let's address distractions and focus first.
Okay.
Fundamentally, step one, you need to understand how you work. What I mean by this is we live in a neurodivergent world where each of us works in a different way. Some of us need silence, some of us need noise, some of us need dark, some of us need light, some of us need distraction free. Some of us, we don't even notice the distractions. So, first of all, step number one is know how you work best.
Mhm.
Then, step number two is control your environment as much as you can to manage your focus. Step number three is understand that we are humans in an evolving world, that nobody is perfect, there is no perfect way, and your processes, your procedures, your ideal setup is going to be challenged constantly. So then step number four is what do you do to reground yourself, to stay emotionally ambivalent, if you like, to the triggers,
Mm,
and to keep practicing that over and over and over again. The best way I can describe it is, what do you need to do to become the helicopter versus the ant on the ground? The ant that is trying to avoid all of the people that might step on it. What do you need to do to be that helicopter support to the executive that you're working with or working for? So that's distractions and focus. Managing the agenda, similarly, first of all, it's your job to manage the agenda. But second of all, you are managing the agenda for somebody else. So you may have prioritized it according to your skill set, but they want to reprioritize it according to their priorities. So
mm,
it is about finding that middle ground. And in my podcast, you called it the wants match alignment.
yeah.
So trying to find the way that you can align with your executive and be a team. So you're managing the agenda based on your skill set. They are inputting into the agenda based on the organization's requirements. How can you both do this together? And again, back to the helicopter analogy, looking down on the situation versus being trapped in it and running around, not being able to see the bigger picture. And that's where I truly, truly believe that working with a coach, working with a mentor, personal development, reading books, doing whatever it is that you need to do to stay in that helicopter.
Hmm.
And I'm sure we're going to come on to well-being, which is where well-being and energy management then come into the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to me about well-being and energy management then. Like, what would be your best advice, or maybe a few quick tips you could share around maybe how you, since 2012, have managed your energy that we could all glean from and take away from?
Yeah. So again, coming back to, I just want the audience to understand this was not an overnight thing. This has been a journey.
Yeah.
Back in 2011, I used to exercise to look good. That was it entirely. And when I did some of the exercise, it also helped me feel good because we burned energy and we got the endorphins out, yada, yada, yada. Now, I would say I understand and recognize the importance of connecting and respecting the body, the machine, the vehicle that I live in. For me, it's really about how do I feel? And the better I feel, and this is the crazy thing, the better I look. The aesthetic is the unintended consequence. You meet me here, Annie, celebrating my 1 year anniversary of joining a local yoga studio and have gone almost every day for the last year. I have attended 444 classes. That's because some days I've done 2, but I did not go every day. It's important to note that because some days we just don't feel like it. And we
Mhm.
have to honor ourselves in that. So for me, it's been finding something that allowed me to stop, connect, reconnect to myself, ground myself, breathe, because I don't think I breathed for the 10 years of my corporate career. I think I held my breath. And to understand and recognize that illness is inevitable if we don't look after our health and well-being, because it's nobody else's responsibility but our own. My stroke had a medical reason, but I truly believe that had I not had the stroke, I would have inevitably burned out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that like actually listening to your body is a great place to start. And so many of us are so disconnected from our bodies that we don't even know what that looks like. And so really like paying attention. Are you feeling any aches and pains anywhere? Is your body wanting to move? That kind of thing can go a long way in also developing the self-trust piece and knowing what you need and knowing what will inevitably serve you. But I love that you brought that up because when we think of time management, we think of energy management. Not a lot of us are thinking about really coming back to ourselves in that way. So that's really profound.
And one of the things I would say is that the common pushback to this is, Abigail, I don't have time.
Mm.
So I have created something that I call 8-minute activities that you can do for your mindset, your movement, your mental health. And these 8-minute activities are all you really need. 8 minutes of meditating, 8 minutes of yoga flow, 8 minutes of a walk, 8 minutes of journaling, 8 minutes of mindset. If you can trick yourself by just doing 8 minutes and you feel better, let how you feel become the dictator of doing more, rather than saying to yourself, I need to go to the gym for an hour and I need to work really, really hard. And if I'm not sweating, it's not working. And then you can't walk for a week. And then you hate yourself because it didn't work. And then you get annoyed at all the other people who are there who make it seem like it works. And then you start creating a narrative in your head. It must be me. I'm
Mm.
the problem. It's me. And it's not.
Yeah.
It's a gradual step by step by step. And this is why I keep referencing back to 2012 to 2024 has been a journey of trying a million things. But like I said earlier, I just don't quit. So every time I tried something that didn't really work, I didn't really feel better from it, but so-and-so did, rather than going, there's something wrong with me, I went, oh, okay, I'm going to try something else.
Yeah, I love that. I think also for a lot of us, especially I'm speaking specifically for executive assistants here, we live in perfectionist fantasy land where I'm going to get healthy and I'm going to work out 5 days a week and it's going to be an hour every time. And the first minute or the first time that something happens and that plan gets derailed, we throw the whole thing out instead of really honoring the baby steps and honoring the exploration and honoring the body and how you feel as a result of maybe a success that you've had with working out or whatever, you know? And I just want to name that because that's a real thing. All the assistants out there who are recovering perfectionists like me, it's a real thing. But I know for myself too, like I've hired a personal trainer. He comes one time a week. And I've actually trying to work out more than that. But even if it's one time a week, I'm like, hey, it's a drop in the bucket in the right direction. And like you, I'm working out to strengthen my body for longevity. Like I really want to maintain my health for longevity. And so I love that you share that. And I think 8 minutes, like it could be so easy for us to write off 8 minutes as inconsequential or not enough when if we can actually harness this 8 minute thing that Abigail is talking about here and actually meditate or even go for a walk or work out or whatever, that it really can make a difference. It really is in the small choices, don't you think, Abigail?
100%. And just to talk about the time audit quickly again,
Yeah.
one of my clients who did the time audit recently found an hour and 15 minutes a day within the first 2 days of auditing their time for 7 days.
Hmm.
And from this point, they were able to give themselves an hour and 15 minutes every day to do whatever they wanted. And Annie, I truly believe most of us have 2 hours. It's only when you start to see, oh, that's scrolling. Yeah, I don't want to own that, but that's actually taking a bit more time than I thought. Oh, that self-doubt is actually, that's 15 minutes. And one of the things I do with the clients is they add the 15 minutes, the 15 minutes, the 15 minutes, the 15 minutes, and that's an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there's so many simple things. And here is the interesting thing. Because it's simple, we don't do it.
Huh.
One of the biggest things, my biggest bugbears, but I say it like I love my clients when they say it, but I'm like, that's the problem. Yeah, I know that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know that. If you are not doing it and your life hasn't changed, you do not know it. You just have shelf development, not self development.
I
You've
love
read
it.
every book. You've read every book. You can show me your library. Fantastic. There are no certificates in I've read all the books.
Hmm.
The only thing that matters is, do you feel happier? Does your energy ignite the room when you walk in, or do you suck the energy from the room because your job is to bring the energy?
Hmm.
And are you making incremental step-by-step changes?
Yes, I love that. It's almost the difference between, like, I think a lot of us think that consuming, like that we should just consume more and more content. I recently told a client of mine, like, I don't want you to go read 10 books. I'd rather you read one book 10 times and actually implement the things from that one book. You'll get so much more value off of actually taking that book and strategically figuring out how you can implement the concepts they share in that book. So it really is the difference between implementing and just consuming. And so I love that. That's really, really brilliant. Okay, Abigail, tell everyone, first of all, a bit about your book and how they can connect with you, where they can find you, where you hang out online, so that people can follow you and stay connected.
So the book is called Time Management for Entrepreneurs and Professionals. As I said, it is this big. You will be able to read it in less than 4 hours. You will be able to find an hour a day if you audit your time. You can find the book on my website. You can find the book on Amazon worldwide. There are different versions of it. You can download the Kindle. You can buy the physical copy. We also have a workbook. I hang out mostly on the LinkedIn. You can also find me on Instagram. I know Annie is going to leave all the links in the show notes. And the final thing I want to say is, if you are uncertain but want to dip your toe into the water, there is going to be a link for you to download a free chapter of my book to get started. The only way to change your life is to do something. Information without application is wasted.
Yes, I love it. Okay, yes, and I'm going to link to everything. I'll link to the book. I'll link to Abigail on LinkedIn, her profile, so you can follow her. I'll link to all the things. So please
And we
check the show
forgot the
notes before.
podcast.
Oh, yes. And of course, the
The
time management
podcast.
podcast. Yes. Especially for those who are consuming this content right now, because you're obviously a podcast listener. Add Abigail's podcast to your like rotation. She is brilliant and she brings on brilliant people. And so you'll also get uh, access and exposure to a variety of different people and new ways of thinking. Thank you so much, Abigail, for coming and speaking with my audience today. This conversation has been such a pleasure. Um, for my audience, be intentional, be whole. That is all for now.